Hello and welcome back to Library of Ruina Ranked. In this video, we'll be covering the index proxies and R-Corp. Our first page is Eradication. This is a 5-cost mass summation rolling 12 to 23 blunt and inflicting 1 feeble this scene on hit, but it can only be used in the blade unlocked state. This is a pretty solid mass attack. The roll isn't incredibly high, so it'll lose to opposing bomb pages, but the status defect can really help your clashing and make it hurt less to target utility pages with it. This is a reusable mass attack and is an A. Castigation is a 4-cost rolling 1 to 5 pierce, 2 to 7 pierce counter. On hit, the pierce deals bonus damage and stagger damage equal to 7 times the natural roll, and it reduces the power of all the opponent's dice clashing into it by 12, but it's only usable in the blade unlocked state. This page rolls like a 13 to 18 and deals between 8 and 40 damage. As a counter page, this can snuff strong ones quite easily, and while power doesn't work super well with it because the bonus damage only cares about the unempowered roll, things that boost the min and max roll work to give you extra damage. Of course, this is a 4-cost with a play restriction and with only 1 non-counter die, but it's still quite good at a B. Up next, we have Decapitation. This is a 4-cost range page rolling 13 to 25 slash and inflicts 1 feeble and 8 bleed next scene on hit, but it's only usable in the blade unlocked state. Unfortunately, Decapitation is the worst of the 3 unique pages, but it's still pretty decent. The roll is quite strong, and the status defects are powerful, but it's a 4-cost range page with 1 die, which means the damage is limited, and it's somewhat hard to clash with this page into 3 die pages because you'll be taking a bunch of damage in return. It's still solid, but only enough to get a B-. Somber Procuration is a 2-cost rolling 3 to 7 block, 3 to 5, 3 to 7 pierce, but if your deck is Singleton, the 2 gains 4 power. Compared to Creek, you need to build Singleton, but you get a 0.5 higher roll average and better dice placement. This is a solid value page and gets an S-. Eliminate is a 3-cost rolling 5 to 10, 5 to 10 slash. Both of the dice gain 1 power if the target is below half HP, and on kill, it gives all allies 1 strength next scene. This page is quite expensive and doesn't have much utility, which limits its usefulness, and its rolls aren't incredible, being slightly lower than low reroll when unempowered, but it does have the upside of dice type consistency and the on-kill effect. It's not amazing, but it's good enough to get a C+. Binding Chains isn't so lucky. This is a 2-cost rolling 4 to 8 blunt, 3 to 8 pierce. On the start of Clash, if the user's deck is Singleton, it reduces the power of all the target's dice by 1, and the blunt reduces the power of the opponent's next die by 2 on Clash win. This page kind of rolls like a 5 to 9, 6 to 11 if you win the 1, but that's not guaranteed, as well as the damage being lower than that. I think the juice isn't worth the squeeze, and this is just a C-. Multi-Slash is a 1-cost rolling 3 to 7 slash, 1 to 4 blunt. On use, the user draws a page, and if their deck is Singleton, they also restore 2 light. This is an incredible card, and one of the main reasons to build Singleton. Restoring light and drawing pages at the same time is great, as we saw in To Overcome Crisis, and this page isn't any different. Once again, very powerful utility is busted, and this is an easy S+ page. Unlock 1 is a single-use 0-cost rolling 2 to 6 slash and adding Unlock 2 to the user's hand on use. Unlock 2 is a single-use 0-cost page that rolls 2 to 6 slash 1 to 3 pierce and adds Unlock 3 to the user's hands on use. Unlock 3 is a 0-cost rolling 3 to 7 slash 2 to 4 pierce and it restores 1 light and draws 1 page on use. Compared to Multi-Slash, when you complete the minigame, you basically get the same page, but a slightly higher roll average and easier to cast without the Singleton requirement. However, getting Unlock 3 requires you to cast Unlock 1 and 2, which aren't much better than just not casting anything in most cases. Because your speed dice are so limited early, it can be a struggle to find room to progress your unlocks, but the end result is so good that I think the first copy is an A. Mind Crush is a 6-cost mass individual rolling 4 to 8 pierce, 4 to 8, 5 to 10 blunt. All the dice deal 6 stagger damage on hit, but it's only usable at 20 or more charge. This is a pretty solid mass attack. The damage is good, and while the dice aren't unbeatable, with a couple power boosters it'll beat most things, and up to 90 bonus stagger damage is an insane amount. The downside, of course, is that you need to be at 20 charge, which is a real limitation, and even though the page is worth 6 light for sure, it still means that you'll need to spend quite a bit of time refueling 1 light afterwards. Even so, this is a great page and is an A. Ground Crash is a 6-cost mass summation rolling 13 to 22 blunt. It's only usable at 20 plus charge, and on use, the user expends 20 charge to boost the power of all the dice by 10. While lacking utility or the surgical precision of Mind Crush to stagger targets, Ground Crash instead just smacks them really hard with a hammer. 23 to 32 will beat most non-bomb pages, but compared to Mind Crush, I feel like you're not getting your money's worth, especially since this consumes the charge. It's probably due in part to Maxime's page having maximum crush, but since that's outside the scope of this review, this page is just a B+, which is still really good. Disposal is next. This is a single-use 5-cost page rolling 15 to 30, 10 to 20 slash. The 1 destroys the clash loser's dice, the 2 deals bonus damage and stagger damage equal to the natural roll if the target has mark. It's only usable at 20 plus charge. Upon killing an enemy with the page, you get another copy of Disposal in your hand with its cost reduced by 1. And if the target is below half HP, it deals double damage. I'm not as big a fan of this card as the other R-Corp exclusive pages. The rolls are quite good, but the 20 charge requirement is very steep for a non-mass attack. If you can get the 20 charge quickly, it can decimate the enemies, but it'll take multiple casts of the page, unlike the mass attacks which will often just win the reception for you. Against bosses it's better, but generally it's a B-. Mind Whip is a 3-cost ranged page rolling 9 to 23 blunt. On use, it deals 4 stagger damage to self, and on hit, the user expends 3 charge to deal 8 stagger damage. I don't like this page very much. It has a downside, is ranged, high light cost but only a single die, and the charge cost isn't worth as much as Leaper energy conversion, so it's hard to justify putting in. I think this page isn't worth running, and it's just a D. Rhino Ram is a 4-cost rolling 12 to 25 blunt, 4 to 8 block. On combat start, it gives the user 2 protection, and the blunt gives the user 8 charge on hit. This is a pretty decent charge enabler. The blunt is pretty much guaranteed to hit, and while the protection isn't very relevant, it's not nothing. Being a 4-cost with only 2 dice hurts a little bit, but it's still good enough to be a B. Concentrated Fire is a 2-cost single-use range page rolling 6 to 8, 5 to 7 pierce, 3 to 7 block, and on use, if the user's speed is 6 or higher, all the dice gain 1 power. This page has the same roll range as Somber Procuration when unpowered, and it doesn't require you to be singleton. Of course, it does have worse dice order and is ranged in single use, but the power boost and being able to run multiples of this page in your deck mean this page isn't too far behind and is an A+. Pinpoint Shot is a 3-cost single use range page rolling 8 to 21 blunt. On use, if the user's speed is 6 or higher, all the dice gain 2 power and it inflicts 2 bleed next scene on hit. Compared to going for Bullseye, you get a 1.5 higher roll average and the power boost effect, but the stats defect is worse in my opinion. Going for Bullseye wasn't that good in Urban Plague, and so being comparable to it in Star of the City means this page is an F. Battle Command is a 3-cost rolling 5 to 10 block, 5 to 9 slash, 5 to 8 blunt, and on combat start it gives 1 strength to 2 other allies. The rolls on this page are decent, and 2 strength is also quite good. I like this dice spread, and so while it's nothing fancy, this page is an A+. Energy Strike is next. This 2-cost rolls 4 to 7 block, 4 to 8 blunt, 4 to 8 slash. On use, the page deals 4 stagger damage to self, and the slash spends 3 charge to deal 8 stagger damage on hit. This page reads similarly to Mind Whip, having the same effect, but whereas Mind Whip wasn't worth running on its rolls alone, Energy Strike has a reasonable roll range, and while the downsides are still present and the charge expenditure isn't that great, it's a solid page at a B+. Bulky Impact is a 2-cost rolling 4 to 7 block, 6 to 12 blunt, and on use the user gains 5 charge. This page has the same roll average as Absorb Impact, but has 2.5 more power in the offensive die and loses 1 charge. Having more power on the offensive die is significantly better, but you do end up losing that 1 charge and you get this page slightly later. That still means it's a B though. Rapid Gashes is a 5-cost rolling 4 to 10, 4 to 9 slash, 4 to 9 pierce, 6 to 10 block, and its cost is lowered by the number of other Rapid Gashes in the user's hand. This is a really interesting page. At 5 light it's bad, at 4 it's passable but nothing incredible. You really want to get it to 3 light for it to be good. Normally that'd mean you have to have all 3 in your hand, which is fairly uncommon without some setup cost. Both the magic of Clone, which we'll talk about later, this suddenly becomes a very potent deck, if not heavily lacking utility. Overall, that makes the ceiling of Rapid Gashes an A+, but without Clone it's just a C+. Next we have Quick Suppression. This is a 2-cost rolling 3 to 8 evade, 4 to 8 blunt, 3 to 8 slash. The blunt inflicts 2 bleed next scene on hit, the slash inflicts 1 bleed next scene on hit, and on use the user gains 5 charge. This is another solid charge enabler. While the clashing isn't as potent as Bulky Impact on a per die basis, the damage is significantly higher, and compared to other similar pages like Assault Order or Fleet Edge, this has stronger clashing as well as better utility. It falls short of the best enablers, but like Bulky Impact, this is a B. Graze the Grass is a 0-cost rolling 3 to 7 block, 3 to 4 pierce, and on use the user restores 1 light and gains 3 charge. This is, in my opinion, the best light regen page that doesn't also drop pages in the game. 3 to 7 block can mitigate damage quite well, 3 to 4 pierce guarantees an emotion coin, is a 0 cost so it's easy to use, and it gives you 3 charge if you care about that. This is my go-to third light regen for singleton decks and is an S tier page. Concentration is up next. This is a 3 cost rolling 7 to 10 block, 4 to 8 pierce, 4 to 6 slash, and on use the user gains 8 charge. This is a great charge enabler for most decks. 8 charge on a single page is quite solid, and while the offensive dice aren't incredible, the block is very strong. There isn't much utility outside of the charge gain, which isn't great, but it's still good enough to be an A. Clone is a single use 1 cost rolling 2 to 7 block, 2 to 5 slash, but on use, it copies the most expensive page in hand and adds it to the user's hand. This is a really interesting page, but unfortunately it's not amazing. The going rate for the page is awful, and so you need to be getting some synergy out of copying pages rather than just copying one of your random bombs. As stated earlier, with Rapid Gashes, this page is great because there's a lot of synergy, but outside of that, this page is just a C-. Our last page today is Savage Mode. This is a single-use 2 cost page rolling 2 to 7 block, 3 to 7 slash. Additionally, on use, all ranged pages in the user's deck become melee, it adds a copy of Feral Knives to hand, and starting with the next scene, the user's dice gain 1 power. Feral Knives is a 6 cost mass individual rolling 4 to 9 pierce, 4 to 9 6 to 10 slash. It's only usable at 20 or more charge, the dice inflict 3 bleed next scene on hit, and a 3 deals 15 bonus damage to the manually selected target on hit. Even without Feral Knives, Savage Mode is a pretty great page. The initial page is quite bad, but after, you get a universal power boost and some potential incidental bonus of turning your range pages into melee. Feral Knives is also a pretty great mass attack and is in my opinion better than Mind Crash. Both of these factors combined make Savage Mode an S tier page. In the next video, we'll be covering Xiao, Yan, and the purple tier. I'll see you soon, and as always, thank you for watching.